For today's quiz, we're going to be talking about conductors. Here I've got copper and I've got aluminum, and they're about the same size. Each of these are fantastic in their own way. Copper has less resistance, but in general, it's going to cost more and it's going to be heavier. Aluminum is a lot cheaper, a lot lighter, but it does have a little bit more resistance. So instead of having identical sizes, we simply want to compare what happens if I have different lengths and different thicknesses. So we want you to rank from smallest amount of resistance to the largest. Here's what your quiz looks like today. I'll hold that up right now. As always, mark your answer as completely as possible and list your confidence. Typical student responses will vary quite a bit. Some will say, the more metal that you have, the more difficult it is to get through. Others will ask a question, will say, wait a second, you said copper was easier to get through than aluminum. By how much? And that's an excellent question. We could say that copper has about half the resistance of aluminum. Others will say, look, I'm going to use that water analogy that we had before, and I know that it's harder to get through a long straw than it is something that's really thick that allows water to flow a little easier. So those are the typical responses that we're going to get from students. Most students will say, look, I can think through this. I might not know everything about electricity, but I know the longer it is, the harder it is to get through. I know the bigger it is in terms of area, the easier it is to get through. And you already told us that copper is going to be easier to get through than aluminum. So we might help them write this down. We might say using a proportionality. And this is a wonderful tool for students to use. If they don't know the exact value, they can say it's proportional. For instance, I could say resistance is going to be proportional to our length. In other words, if the length gets twice as big, the resistance would get twice as big. Same thing with what it's made out of. Technically, we call that resistivity. And we use the Greek letter rho. So I could say resistance is proportional to that rho value. We can also say the bigger the area, the easier it is to flow. So I could say that the resistance is inversely proportional to the area. You can pull all that together. And by the way, most students can do this. They could say our resistance is therefore proportional to our resistivity, our length, all over our area. And in fact, that is the actual equation, not just a proportionality. So I could say resistance equals rho L all over A. Once we have that, we should be able to tackle this pretty easily. We can see that this one has the biggest area, smallest length, and it also is going to be able to flow the easiest because it's copper. On the opposite side, we're going to have a long straw like aluminum, which is going to be more difficult to get through, and the area is much less. So right away, we can say that E is going to be our smallest amount, and A is going to be our largest. So E, A. From there, we can end up saying, well, I've got copper and aluminum, and they're all of the same length. But this one is wider, and it's made out of copper. Clearly, that one's going to be easier to get through, so we would end up saying D. Now I'm left between C and B. Clearly, everything is identical other than what they're made out of, so B is going to be easier to get through than the aluminum because it's copper. All right, that's your quiz, but if you'd like to stick around, we'll show you how to go into a little bit more depth, maybe use a few more tools with your students. Okay, let's go ahead and use some normalization. What do I mean by that? I might not know the exact values, but I can assign them. Let's just say copper and zinc. Copper has a value of, we'll say 1 for its resistivity. We could then say aluminum is clearly going to be bigger than that. So I can write the size of my variables in terms of how big are they. Let me show you. For instance, if I were to call the resistance of the aluminum as twice as big as my copper. On my copper, I'll give that a normal size rho. Up here, I'll give it twice the size. And I can do that for the rest of my aluminum. Twice as big, normal size, and our normal size. Go ahead and put these on. I could say aluminum, way bigger, normal size, normal size. I can do this for my other variables. Maybe we'll say that these are our typical length. We'll just call that L. So this is a normal size L, that is a normal size L, and that is a normal size L. Where the aluminum up top is going to be twice as big. So I'm going to make that twice as large. And the length down here for this last one, E, copper, is about half of our normal one. So I can end up putting a very tiny L there. Do the same thing for the area. Let's say that all of these are about the same area. I could say this has a normal size area, this has a normal size area, this has a normal size area, but maybe this one is twice as big in terms of the area, so I'll make it twice as big, maybe make it a little bit bigger, and this one might be 3 times as big. So I'll really make that one large. I think right away you could see that all of our variables are stacked against us. Here we're going to end up having the greatest resistivity, the longest length, and a typical area. Where this one is going to end up having the smallest amount of resistivity, smallest length, but the biggest area. We can go one step further and actually put some numbers on these. Remember, we're normalizing, and that means setting everything equal to 1. For instance, I could say, let's just say my resistivity was 1, my length was 1, and my area was 1. 1 times 1 is 1 divided by 1, and we would say our overall resistance would be 1. Let's go back and see if we can do that here. So on this one, I could say, well, that's going to be essentially 1 for our resistivity, 1 for our length, and 1 for our area. 1 times 1, all over 1, and that would give us a value of 1. When I came down here, notice they're nearly identical, other than this is going to be twice the resistivity. So in this case, I could say that's going to be 2 times our 1 divided by our 1 here. And this is going to end up being twice as much as we thought. Up here, we said the resistivity would be twice as much, and the length would be twice as much, and the area would be the same. So on this one, I could say I'm going to have 2 times 2 all over 1, and that would equal 4. So that one has 4 times what this copper piece is, and twice what that aluminum piece is. Let's finish them off, and we could say down here I've got my normal sizes. I've got 1 times 1, but my area is twice as big. Oops, twice as big, and I could say that's going to end up being 1 all over 2. This is going to be about half of what that one is. Now when I come all the way down here, our length is 1/2 of what our normalized value was. Our resistivity is a 1, but the area, that one might be 3 times as much. Let's go ahead and put that one in. I could say I've got my normal 1 times my 1/2, all divided by our 3. And if I take 1/2 divided by 3, that's going to end up being 1 all over 6. So right away, we can see that our values up there, we can put real numbers to, or at least normalized numbers, and we can see that here we've got the smallest amount of resistance right here, so maybe I'll make that really tiny, and then this would end up being our second biggest resistance, so a little bit bigger for that one, and then the resistance gets a little bit bigger here, and then a little bit bigger, and then finally we end up with a really large resistance. Kind of neat how you can start to think about equations, math, materials, and so on. But you might be thinking, what value does this really have in the real world? Well, I want to show you something. All right, imagine you're back 150 years ago in the lab, and you don't have expensive equipment like we have today, wonderful meters and so on. Maybe you don't have very much. You have a thimble, and you can wrap some wire around that and get some resistance. Well, remember, what we just found is I can take another thimble, and if I wrap twice the wire around it as the first, I now know relative to that first one, I have twice the resistance. And if I changed it to a different material, I could also find out what that resistance was. Or I could use a thicker wire and less of it. So I could end up having a full set of resistors that maybe I couldn't have any other way unless I used different materials, different lengths, and different areas. So we don't use these today. Resistors are fairly cheap, but back in the day, this was gold. This was gold. So, all right, an interesting take on how we used to make resistors, and that's your quiz for today. Thank you for watching another Idealized Science Institute video. We are a nonprofit organization. If you like what you've seen, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want, leave a comment below. It's helpful to us. If you can financially support us, go to our website and hit the donate button. If you can't, simply by sharing these videos with other teachers and students in your life will be helpful. While at our website, you'll find that we have our Idealized Science Institute book that'll help you engage your students in dialogic discourse. There you'll also find we have a podcast where we break down educational research. We also have long-form lessons. If you're a teacher, you can watch these and go in the very next day and enact these. Along with this, we also have many other resources, including more quick quizzes. So thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.